Now this next slide, although it is a comic strip, it may seem comical. There's nothing funny about it. You see three people here who are seated and have some issues related to social network and social media and how it affected their employment. The first one says, unemployable due to stupid personal stuff I put on my Facebook page. The young lady seated beside him says, me too. And the third one says, for me, it was an embarrassing YouTube video. In this next slide, we're going to share with you some statistics of how important employers seek out information on you based on your social media and your social networking sites. Information about alcohol or drug use. 41% of managers said this was a top concern and that they find a lot of this on many of the social networking sites of potential employees. Inappropriate photos or information posted on a candidate's page. 40% of the managers say they seek out this information on candidates' Facebook pages and social networking sites before they even grant them an interview. 28% found other people to be bad-mouthing their former employers or their fellow employees. 27% found inaccurate qualifications. 22% found a lot of unprofessional screen names. Many of us are extremely guilty of that. We think it's fun, we think it's cool to joke around with our screen name, but it's not cool when a former employer pulls up your account and finds a screen name that is deemed inappropriate when they are looking to seek you out to represent their company. Notes showing links to criminal behavior and confidential information about past employers were among several other things that employers seek out when they look for our social media sites. Back to a couple of consequences that end in a very, very, very terrible circumstances due to things we put on our social networking sites. A young lady, just 25-year-old mother of two, was charged with Millersville University accused of promoting underage drinking after they discovered her MySpace photo, which captioned "Drunken Pirate." The picture from her MySpace page, parents had a hold of and went to the school complaining that their students, whom she was a student teacher at a local high school, were finding out that this was a cool picture and were trying to figure out their own costume that they were going to wear and how they were going to too be a drunken pirate. Now, as far-fetched as this may sound, the university did not want to be linked to such behavior, and they dismissed this young lady. She was able to go ahead and get a BA in teacher's education, but she was prohibited from getting a certification in that state. And in order for her to become a teacher certified, she had to move and relocate to a whole nother state. Let's talk about privacy. Many of us say, it's my Facebook, it's my Twitter, it's my MySpace, it's private, I can put anything on there that I want to put on there. Well, privacy by textbook definition is the claim of individuals, groups, or institutions to determine for themselves when, how, and to what extent information about them is communicated to others. Yes, you do have the ability to be, quote unquote, somewhat private on these Facebook sites, on these Twitter accounts, on these MySpace, and all these other social networking sites. But does a such thing as privacy really exist out here? See, you have to understand, once you put any information out there, whether it's pictures, whether it's tweets, once it's out there in the web, it is there. You can delete it, you can click the privacy settings, you can even be mindful of who you befriend. It's out there, it's out there. So be very careful of using your privacy as a wall to hide behind. Another very important word that starts with the P that we want to discuss has nothing to do with privacy. It's actually perception. To perceive means to recognize, discern, envision, or understand. Why is perception so important when it comes to social networking sites? Because it's not what you are trying to communicate, it's not the image that you are trying to portray, but it is what I perceive. The person who is reading your site, the person who is exploring your tweets, it is all up to them and what the image they portray of you based on what you put out there. A small quote that I like to leave you with that is very important is manage reality in order to massage perception. This simply means that you can control perception if you manage your reality. If you are mindful of the image you put out there on your Facebook, on your Twitter account, etc., then people have no choice but to perceive you in such a manner. You don't want to find yourself in a predicament where you're having to explain every single thing. You're having to explain a picture that may be deemed inappropriate by someone, or a screen name, or a tweet. Just be mindful of that. Manage your reality so that you can massage your perception. Remember when we talked about the statistics of who all is on Facebook? We talked about over 400 million We talked about 10 million of those users being age 55 and older. What does that say? That says that everyone is on Facebook. Not just you, your peers, your teammates, but your parents, your employers, your church members. Everybody is on Facebook. Bottom line is, anybody is peeking at you at any given time, so you must be very, very careful of the information you put out there. We already spent a great deal talking about employers and co-workers. Now I want to highlight again universities. And this is strictly for many of you who are student leaders here. Once you take on a position as a student leader or even a student employee here at the university, you no longer just represent yourself. You represent that organization. You represent our institution. At that point, you take on a great deal of responsibility, and you have to be even more careful about the ideas you put out there on these social networking sites. Many people may not remember your name or even associate you with your name, but they will quickly associate you with the organization you belong to or the university. So if you mismanage your reality, you have not only destroyed the perception of yourself, but of your organization, of the university and institution, and you have now taken a boatload of people with you. So you're not just responsible for your image, but you're responsible for many others. In this slide here, we feature a small picture of Macaulay Culkin with his hands on his face and that "oh no" look. These are some things you don't want to find yourself in. You don't want to find yourself years down the line saying, "Oh no, I was young. That was a couple of years ago. Oh no, I didn't even know her. I just accepted her friend request. Oh no, I thought I deleted that picture." So start now. Start now with managing your reality. Start now by ensuring you don't have any inappropriate pictures on your website. Start now by ensuring that the friends you befriend are also managing their reality, because sometimes it has nothing to do with what's on your Facebook page, but what about your friends? What if I click on theirs? What if I click on theirs? See where this is going? Now, social networking sites are not horrible. In fact, they are by far one of the most creative and awesome tools we have today in this social media world. One thing we talk about with getting your social network from social network sites is that they make great ways to make connections with others. They're also an awesome way for us to communicate the pulse of the campus culture. Everyone is on these sites, and this is a great way for potential students, potential employees, to know what's going on without reading what's directly on our university webpage, but reading the inner thoughts of the people who inhabit the university daily. It's a great advertising tool. For many of you in your organizations, you use these networking sites religiously to utilize the information concerning your meetings, your parties, your programs, and for that, they are well attended. So keep up the good work and keep utilizing them for that. Lastly, they are an opportunity to create a positive self-image. You never know who's looking at you, but you know that there's over 400 million people looking at you. So use this as an opportunity to create that positive self-image. Tips on getting your social net worth. Remove pictures again, content and links that can send the wrong message to potential employers and others viewing your profile. Update your social networking profiles regularly to highlight your latest accomplishments. Put when you've been awarded some things. Put when you've reached that highest GPA that you've been looking for. Put when you've made it into certain organizations, honor societies, academic-based organizations, even social organizations. Highlight the good stuff that's going on in your life. Consider blocking comments to avoid questionable posts. Remember, we talked about those friends that may not have the best information going on their website. Be very mindful of when they post comments that link over to your page. Make sure you're checking your sites. Make sure you're filtering them. Don't necessarily utilize and rely on that privacy of the network site to take care of that. Do that yourself. And lastly, consider setting your profile to private so that designated friends can view it. In conclusion, in my opinion, the value of using social networking sites far outweighs the risk. Using social networking effectively and positively to establish new relationships, strengthening the existing ones, innovate, learn, collaborate, and have fun. But beware of the risks so that you can do your best to steer clear of them and think before you click. And remember, manage reality to massage perception. Thank you.